Discussion. Tonight, we will be focusing on our history program. For those of you who I have not met, my name is John Kunz. I am the Director of Upper School Admission at St. Stephen's and St. Agnes School, and this is our sixth information session. So we are thrilled to have you all here this evening, and I just want to cover a few pointers before I kick things over to our department chair, Ms. Hardwick. In terms of our agenda this evening, Ms. Hardwick will be covering some items regarding the history program, including our history program philosophy. She'll talk a little bit about our course overview, some of the courses that we offer. She'll talk a little bit about history, kind of in an overarching way at St. Stephen's and St. Agnes School. We'll talk a little bit about history outside of the classroom. We will be having some students offer and share their perspectives about history at St. Stephen's and St. Agnes School, and we are always so thankful for having our students participating with us for these information sessions. Then we will have a Q&A opportunity, and please do know that in terms of the Q&A, you are more than welcome to put a question in the Q&A at any time, and when it's time for our Q&A section, we will be sure to get to those questions. And then to round things out, we will move into our next steps. So without further ado, I will turn things over to our department chair of history at St. Stephen's and St. Agnes School, Ms. Kate Hardwick.
Good evening, everybody. It is so great to be here. I'm Kate Hardwick. I'm the history department chair at St. Stephen's, St. Agnes. This is my 8th year teaching there. And I'm really excited to share with you some of the fundamentals of our program, starting with our philosophy statement. So Mr. Kunz, we might switch to that slide. There we go. So really, to me, I love history not only for the stories that it tells, but really because the whole discipline is about creating a toolkit for our students and really helping them to understand the world around them in a lot of different ways, and then carry those tools of research and critical thinking and writing over into the rest of their life, really. So that's really what we focus on in our department. And really the goal is that what happens in the classroom will leave the classroom and they can implement it in different courses, but also throughout their life. And they hopefully will be lifelong learners of history, but of anything that they're interested in. So we can go on to a little bit about the way we are set up, which I believe. So everyone in 9th grade starts off in World History 1, which we do basically looking at this year we're focusing on India and China, and we did some Middle Eastern history in the spring last year. We're hoping to be able to do this year, although with COVID, we're a little bit different. But we do world history and really focus on skills. So everybody's in the same course. They're all following the same pace and building the same skills. And then we move into 10th grade, where we move into World History 2, and that really focuses on European history, African history, and South American history. You have the option of regular World History 2, or you have the option of taking AP World History, which you do have to apply for. And I will speak about honors history in just a moment, because there is that option as well. And then in 11th grade, we move into American history. So we have a regular American history section, as well as AP United States history. And then if you click one more time right now, Mr. Kunz, so we do also have the option for students in 10th and 11th grade, if they're in regular history, to take, to basically complete some extra work. Right now, it really consists of reading historical books and writing these reports to earn an honors distinction on their report card or on their transcript. So they're still in the section of World History 2 or American history, but they can earn that distinction on their transcript if they're not in the AP courses. And we have several students tonight who are going to speak more about this. And then senior year, we have a load of electives, primarily AP courses. So you have the option of AP US Government. We also this year are offering a combined course on AP US Government and AP Comparative Government, because that was so popular. We have AP Art History and we have AP European History. We also sometimes will have other electives that are not AP oriented. So I used to teach a human rights course, and I also teach AP Seminar and AP Research to juniors and seniors. And so that's a history, but also that's a cross curricular course as well. So those are all electives that students can choose from. And then next slide. There we go. So like I said with the philosophy statement, the real focus of history, as much as it's the content for our department, it really is the skills that we're building, and particularly writing and research. So that's something that really makes us a unique department in some way. The level of work that we do to build that process for our students and really scaffold it over the 3 to 4 years that they're taking history at the upper school. So we start in 9th grade, everyone in the same boat, and really work on breaking down the writing process, whether that's just source analysis or completing minor research assignments. And every year students complete a research paper. And again, in 9th grade, it's a little bit more focused. So we'll provide a topic for the students and some of the research, and then they'll go and complete their own. But it is a full on paper, 6 to 8 pages. By the time they get to their junior year, they're completing this paper totally on their own. They complete the topic on their own. They complete scholarly research using resources such as JSTOR, ProQuest, really focusing on primary sources. And it's really neat to see the topics that they come up with, because it's what they're passionate about learning about. And so those are skills that we really build all 3 years. Something else that's really unique to the St. Stephen's and St. Agnes program is our art history program. Each year we have 2 dedicated art history teachers who will come in throughout the year to each of our classes and teach art history that's specifically relevant to the course content that they're learning. So if we're learning about Hinduism and Buddhism and World History 1, they'll come in and teach Hindu and Buddhist art specifically to go along with that curriculum. In American history, we just came back from Thanksgiving break and we're entering into westward expansion and the road to the Civil War. And so they came in and started teaching and taught landscape art, westward expansion art, manifest destiny art, and then we focus on also Native American art. And so it's a really, no other school that I know of has a program like this, and it's a wonderful way to sort of bring in that creative aspect and really that primary source aspect of art into our curriculum. I also want to highlight again the historical and critical thinking skills, and the students are going to talk more about this in a moment, but we really are about the students and having them develop their skills. So classes are about discussion and debate and going up and applying their work. You can see it on the boards in the back. They're always actively participating and building those skills, asking questions, analyzing sources, and really being asked to think critically about the past. And really, it's not about, we don't want to teach our students what to think. We want to teach them how to think, so they can go out into the world and analyze and find any source from any place and understand how to evaluate it and apply it and think critically about it on their own. And finally, I just want to do another little plug for AP and Honors History, and the fact that our department has really scaffolded to help and reach all learners wherever they are, and to really help build the skills wherever they are, challenge them where they need to be, and allow them to explore in different ways. I have some students that take regular world history or American history because they're more interested in those creative things and not so much the AP test. I have other students who really push themselves to challenge themselves by taking an AP course. And I also do want to put just a little plug here for AP Seminar and AP Research. I mentioned them a little bit earlier. They're not specifically history courses, but all of the skills that we do in history apply directly to those courses. And what they really are they're research and writing focused courses. And they're student driven in their topics. And so we actually just did a topic, a local current events one. So we've had the students analyze Amazon HQ2 moving into the Alexandria area. We looked at women's homelessness in the DMV area. So they get to choose their own sort of topics. But the things we teach here, essay writing, research, critical thinking, I've seen my students apply those in those classes, and it's been really wonderful. And then we can move to outside the classroom. We've been really excited to be able to take advantage with our new schedule of trips outside of the classroom. So last year we took the 9th graders to a Buddhist art exhibit at the Sackler Gallery in DC. Every year the 11th grade takes a whole class trip to DC, where we go to the archives and the American History Museum. A few years ago we partnered with the English department to also take our students to the African American History and Cultural Museum. The AP government class tends to go to Congress and the Senate. So we've been really lucky to utilize the DMV area in DC and go on trips. We also are able to bring in speakers. So in the past few years, we brought in Lillian Cunningham from the Washington Post of the Constitutional and Presidential Podcast series, as well as Moonrise series. We've had speakers from the Pentagon come in, from the Senate come in. We've had human rights activists come in and speak. So that's been a really amazing sort of opportunity as well. Some clubs beyond governmental clubs. We also have debate and model judiciary. And then summer opportunities. While we don't have any specific history ones, we always send students to Virginia's Governor's School in Humanities, and oftentimes they are history oriented. We also have, every summer, I'm writing recommendations for students to intern on the Hill in some capacity, as well as be part of the Smithsonian programs. And my favorite thing is we just often have students taking college courses over the summer, and then they get to come back and they send me their syllabi from those courses, and we talk about the classes that they took, and they really just invest what they've learned at our school, and they feel so prepared when they do those summer programs. And I think that's, yeah. And so now we're going to hear from several students in the history department. I believe we're going to start with Allie Barrow, who is a current sophomore.
Hi, my name is Allie. I am a sophomore at St. Stephen's, and I've been here since kindergarten. So I've come up all the way through the lower school, middle school, and upper school. The transition from middle school to upper school was a little bit of a jump. We really focused on more independent work, whereas our research papers kind of had a lot more individual side to it. Like they would send us down to the library and have us look around for books on our own. There wouldn't be carts with books selected for us for our topic. That was for us to do on ourselves. A new thing that we got in upper school are Dbqs, which are document-based questions. And those can serve as major assessments where you take documents that are multiple pages and analyze them. That's also a really good way to work on critical analysis. And in turn, it really helps me with my writing. And my writing has gotten a lot more concise because of it. As stated before, writing is a huge part of the history department, and it's helped me in English classes and in language classes. So everything kind of flows together pretty nicely. And the addition of art history is something new from middle school that we didn't have. And that's a really cool opportunity to kind of step away into a different little dimension for 2 weeks of your unit. And so that's a really cool thing too. This year I'm in World History 2, just regular. So I'm doing the honors distinction, and I'm one book in, and it's pretty good so far. I read a book about the Haitian Revolution and wrote a paper about that. It's pretty good. So I'm looking forward to keep plugging away at those.
Thanks, Allison. And I think we have Will Bremner will jump in next.
All right. So, hi, my name is Will. I'm currently a junior at St. Stephen's, and I came out of St. Stephen's as a freshman in the upper school. So I was not here for a couple of years, so I jumped right in. So one of my favorite things about the way history is taught here at St. Stephen's is how much discussion is used to teach a lesson. It's really nice because you're able to share your own perspectives and opinions with your other classmates. Which you wouldn't usually do in, say, like other classes where you're just writing a paper about something. It also helps you to see the topic / problem from a different perspective through other people's opinions. And another thing about doing discussions in class is that you can approach a topic in any way you feel comfortable with. And what's great about that is that in discussions, there are no wrong answers. You can think pretty much anything you want and share those thoughts and ideas with your other classmates. And it's very open-ended. In doing this, you're also not only receiving information from others about the topic, but you're also helping your classmates by sharing your thoughts and ideas with them. And in turn, both of these things help the class as a whole learn the material better and view the topic from a multitude of perspectives. Now, a very common type of discussion we do here at St. Stephen's is a Harkness discussion. And a Harkness discussion is basically just a discussion on a specific topic where people respectively state their own opinions and don't interrupt others while listening to their classmates' opinions. And some examples of topics we've covered with the Harkness discussion so far through my 3 years here at St. Stephen's include like, was Columbus good or bad, racism and discrimination in America, and the Industrial Revolution. And here at St. Stephen's, we also have a pretty neat honors option. So basically, you take your grades regular history class, and you have the option to read 3 books and write 3 analysis papers on them. And after receiving a B or higher in each of the 3 papers, your history class and your transcript is changed to honors, whatever class you're currently taking. Also, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but I know that a lot of people might say this about teachers at their school, but the history teachers at here at St. Stephen's are some of the best you can honestly ask for. And just speaking from personal experience, I've never had a time where my teacher hasn't responded like really quickly with to a question that I've asked them or like an email I've sent them. And anytime you need help or have any questions about anything going on in class, they're always happy to help. And teachers here truly want you to succeed, and you can see it every day in class and through your interactions with them outside of class. Um, and I've never realized how much I love history until I came here to St. Stephen's and really got to get a full experience on like learning history in a way that's really enjoyable for me.
Thanks, Will. We'll turn it over now to Michael Hines.
Hi everyone, I'm Michael. I'm a senior and I've been at SSSAS since kindergarten. I'm currently taking AP Government and Politics. I took World History 1 as a freshman, World History 2 as a sophomore, and AP US History as a junior. I was in Miss Hardwick's class. Whenever I reflect back on my experiences in history class, I can't help but smile. Whether I was engaging in thoughtful discussions and debates or diving deep into historical texts, history at SSSAS has brought excitement and joy to my high school career. Specifically, one of my favorite parts of AP US History last year was writing a research paper on the study of music censorship in America. I, like many other teenagers, listen to rap music that sometimes contains profanity and explicit content, and I was intrigued by how such explicit music was allowed to become so popular today. Thus, I researched on how recording artists in the 1980s fought for their First Amendment rights after facing the threat of censorship for obscenity. I discovered and learned about things I never knew about, such as the Filthy 15, the PMRC, and the Washington Wives. This work will always be memorable, and I sometimes take time out of my day to reread my research paper. Overall, the best part of history class would definitely have to be the history teachers themselves, who always care about and communicate with their students. For example, while I initially struggled with writing in AP US History, after meeting with Ms. Hardwick many times and practicing, was able to improve my writing skills. In fact, thanks to the instruction of Ms. Hardwick, I was able to score high on the AP US History exam.
Thank you, Michael. And finally, we'll wrap it up with Amanda Gaffney.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda, and I'm a current senior at St. Stephen's. Just like most of you, I went through this admissions process, although I'll fully admit yours looks a lot different than mine did. But I did start new in 9th grade. So I took regular World History 1 and 2, both 9th and 10th grade. And while I could have taken AP, I'm much more of a US history nerd. So I decided to save my skills and wait to switch in 11th grade. So the transition between regular and AP, it's a jump. I'll fully admit that it's a jump. It's a different type of work. For me personally, I found that liking what I was learning about, actually loving what I was learning about, really helped. As I mentioned, huge US history nerd. So it's much more independent, as my fellow students have mentioned. Still fortunate enough, though, to have teachers that were willing to help whenever we needed. Here at St. Stephen's, we have something called STAT, which is Student Teacher Appointment Time. It's designated every day so that if you need to meet with a teacher about anything, you can find them in their classroom or in a designated spot and talk to them about whatever you need. One thing that I noticed in all of my history so far is how big writing has played a role. And when I got to St. Stephen's, I was not the best writer. And that was reflected in my grades the first 2 years. But with the help of Ms. Hardwick, I was able to kind of learn how to properly write and work on it and practice. And last year I was actually able, with the research paper that Michael mentioned, to write a paper that I was proud of and that got the grade that I thought I deserved for all of the work. I'm currently enrolled in the dual AP United States Government and Comparative Politics. And that's just an awesome class. So not only are you learning about your own government and how it works and the people involved, but we then take the US government and compare it with the governments of 6 countries, which are the United Kingdom, Russia, China, Nigeria, Mexico, and Iran. And not only do we look at their governments now, but we look at them in the past and then connect all of this to current events, which I'm also a news nerd, so that helps connect all of those things together.
All right, thank you, Amanda, and thank you to you all here. And I think what we can do now is we're going to move into a question and answer time. And for this, I can start things off with a couple of warm-up questions for our students here. And then please do, again, if you are on this webinar this evening, do feel free to pop your questions in the Q&A section. And we will be sure to answer those questions that you might have. To start things off, I'm curious to know from our students, what do we consider to be the moment in history that they most enjoyed? Is there like a singular moment that they can remember or recall that really that they really felt culminated into their love of history? Is there anyone willing to kind of jump out and answer that question to start with, and we'll see what everyone else has?
Yeah, I can start. So this moment was from last year, AP US History. It also Ms. Hardwick's class. So I remember she brought in hot chocolate and she was playing songs from Game of Thrones. And this is when we were working on the research papers. So we were definitely like feeling a little stressed. So it definitely helped lighten the mood and as we continued to work on the papers. So that moment has like definitely sticked with me.
Sounds like you might get some hot chocolate again soon then too, Michael. Anyone else want to share their a highlight from history class?
I can. Mine was also from A-Push last year with Ms. Hardwick. In the Harkness, we were having a Harkness discussion that Will mentioned, and we had analyzed these documents from President Abraham Lincoln on the Civil War and kind of his stance on the abolition of slavery and on the war. And I had started to say something, and I knew that I was coming up on a really big point, but I just couldn't get to it yet. And with the help of Ms. Hardwick and my classmates, I was able to reach this like all-encompassing like change in democracy point in the war. And I just felt so proud because I knew like I was able to do that on my own with all of the things that I'd learned from the class. So I thought that was a really special culminating moment.
Thanks, Amanda. Anyone else? Will or Allie?
I mean, I don't know if I can really tie it to like a specific moment because honestly, I mean, I know this might sound a little bit corny, but I feel like it has honestly kind of got better and better as the years have gone on. Because I'm more of like, I'm much better at talking and explaining stuff to people than I am like writing stuff down. And as years have gone on, we've done more discussions, more sort of like open forum kind of talks. And that has really helped me been able to like get my points across, and my teacher's been able to understand like what I've been trying to say. And I don't really think I can pinpoint at a specific time, but over the years it's gotten better and better. So
Thanks, Will.
Yeah, like Will, it's a little hard for me to pinpoint a certain moment, but during the research paper that we did in 9th grade, I had Dr. York Simmons, and I've never like had a project where my teacher was so actually like concerned about how I was doing, and not just me, but my whole class. And he was so like just wanted to be there to answer every question he could. And he really helped me fix my writing to not be so informal, like the way I want to talk. So I learned that, and he taught me really, really well. So I really appreciate that. And our whole class has learned so much during that project.
Thanks to all four of you for sharing pivotal moment in history, I guess you could say. Another question that I think a couple of you have touched upon through your initial feedback to the group is regarding the transition into high school, and we have a couple of students on the webinar tonight who started their time with us in ninth grade. So can the two of you talk a little bit more about the transition from your former history program and into the new program here in high school at St. Stephen's and St. Agnes School, and how was that transition?
I mean, so I wouldn't say I was necessarily as prepared as most of my other classmates were coming into the school year, my freshman year. I definitely struggled a lot with writing, and I mean, I still honestly do. I mean, I would consider myself to struggle a little bit with writing today, but again, as I've kind of gone on, my teachers have been able to sort of like strengthen my writing skills and help me strengthen my writing skills to the point where um, now I'm able to write like just as good as like the rest of my classmates. So I mean, in the beginning, it is really tough to um, I guess like get to the point where you're sort of at a level playing field with the rest of the classmates, but the teachers over time really help you to get to that point, and like once you're there, like you just keep going up. So
I 100% agree. The history at my previous school was very structured, and like you'd learn a unit, talk about it for a couple weeks, and then take a test. And the tests weren't normally writing. So when I hit ninth grade history at St. Stephen's and got my first paperback, I was like, oh, yikes, this is how this is going to go. So I did struggle with it for probably 2.5 years until we hit this research paper in 11th grade. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to hunker down and do it. It was a process, but I got it done. And now I'm proud of myself. And now I feel that I'm a better writer than I was when I got here. Do I still have room to grow? Absolutely. But that was the part of my transition that I noticed the most.
Thanks to both of you on that. Now let's talk field trips. What has been your favorite field trip that you have experienced? And Allie, I'm not sure if you've had a chance to experience a field trip yet because of the pandemic, but feel free to let us know what your favorite field trip was in history.
Oh,
Sorry, Amanda.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So ninth grade, we learned, I believe it was ninth grade, we learned about a couple different civilizations. These ones mainly based in Europe and Asia. And so we took a day and went to 3 different religious institutions in the DMV and kind of were able to experience these religions kind of up close. So we started at a synagogue in DC, then went to the Islamic Center, still in DC, I think near Embassy Row, and then drove into Maryland to a Hindu temple. And that one was the one that stuck with me the most because it was just such an experience, something that I had never seen up close before. And yeah, you can study it on paper, but when you're actually walking through and you're seeing these people doing something, worshiping where they truly believe in it, it's a crazy experience.
Thank you, Amanda. Anyone else have, feel free, anyone else to jump in and mention your favorite field trip?
The field trip to Washington, D.C. at the whole junior class when we went, it's kind of crazy. I was talking to my dad about this. It's like we live in the area, but we don't really get a time to like go explore the museums and look at the monuments and memorials as much as you think. So just to like take time out of our day, like to take the whole day and go as a class. Not only was it like a bonding trip with our class, but then it was also like super cool to see all the monuments and memorials and museums. And it was just like, it was such a fun day.
Will and or Allie, do you have anything to add? They might not have been on the field trip.
Yeah, we were supposed to do the Holocaust Museum last spring, but that got canceled, unfortunately. So we do the Holocaust Museum normally with sophomores when they do European history. And I believe the 9th grade trip might have also gotten canceled last fall or last spring as well. So that's a bit unfortunate in terms of timing.
So my next question actually is for Ms. Hardwick, since will be, for you, as you've kind of, since you've been here for 8 years, and you've been the history department chair now for 3 years. What have you seen? Like, how have you seen the history program evolve in your time here? And now that you're the chair of the program, what do you envision continuing to change and evolve within your program?
So I think one of the big things that's evolved is a focus on, as you've heard described multiple times tonight, on really, again, student focused and student driven learning. So on student discussion, on student writing and critical thinking, and away from textbook learning and teacher driven lecture. So we've really moved away from that. And yeah, I definitely have seen that evolved, and I've really fostered that as department chair and encouraged my teachers to really teach that way. So to me, that's one of the biggest changes. I also think that we've really worked on scaffolding our curriculum and scaffolding our teaching to meet students where they are and help them grow. And I know Will and Amanda spoke so much about how it's a journey for them. It is not something that happens overnight, and we constantly teach this about writing. But I think the great thing about our students is that they really trust the process and they trust in the teachers. They might not always do it, but I do think that there is a sense of the growth that happens. And I've seen it in my classroom. I teach 9th grade, I teach 11th grade, I teach 12th grade. I at one point taught 10th grade. It's not on my current roster. So I've seen them as freshmen. I teach freshmen, and I've seen the growth that happens in the 9th grade year. And then it's really neat when I get to teach them again as juniors, to see how far they've grown since 9th graders, but then also even within the junior year, really watching them come into their own and really watching their confidence grow. Amanda and Michael both know this, that they started off a little bit, I don't want to say I really want to say they started off just unconfident in themselves. And I was really, I feel very lucky and privileged to have gotten a chance to work with them to the place where they feel that they have grown as writers. And I'm very excited to see what they do in the future, because they're both very talented. But that we're here to support them, and that we've really been training ourselves in how to help all kinds of learners and how to scaffold it so that there is a ladder of progression to help students improve their skills and grow in confidence, both in their critical thinking as well as in their writing and analysis skills.
Thank you, Ms. Hardwick. And one final question for you, Ms. Hardwick, would be, where would you say that you, especially as a teacher, as someone who works in education, where do you derive your true joy from teaching? So I had to set you up for that one, but
no, you did. It's an easy one, to be perfectly honest. I have this conversation all the time. My joy comes from working with my students. Being department chair, I still teach a full load, and I could be working in other capacities, but I just find my joy and my energy from being in the classroom. This year, and last spring was this challenge of doing it on Zoom. And I'm so grateful that I built the bonds that I did with my students at the beginning of the year last year, but also the real energy that comes through, even through a Zoom screen or even in hybrid learning. That's where I find my passion and my joy. And the fact that my students are willing to work with me, even when they are struggling or they are overwhelmed, but most of the time they are the ones who are bringing in a positive attitude and saying, we can do it. And I just really enjoy that. And I have to say too, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the colleagues that I work with. I work with an extraordinary department, as well as in the whole school, but I feel very lucky to have people that are innovative and driven and passionate and care equally about children and history as much as I do.
Thank you, Ms. Hardwick. And one final question that I have is regarding preparation for college. So curious to hear maybe from our from our older students, and then maybe we can have the younger students chip in a little bit as well. But for you seniors, how do you see the work that you've done in history? How do you see this preparing for you for what you're going to experience in college?
I'm a student that particularly has struggled with writing and has also struggled with writing and time management in the past, like especially throughout my high school career. So then especially when like history, like with all the research and writing we do, it's definitely has helped me develop like time management and writing skills that I will definitely use in college. So like I'm definitely grateful for that.
Thank you, Michael.
Writing's my number one thing as well. Once again, was not a confident in my writing. Didn't think it was good when I arrived in 9th grade, and now still not completely confident in it, but I know that it's better than it was. So I'm grateful to the history department for helping me foster that growth through my almost 4 years. Another thing is like communication skills and discussion skills. I've always liked to talk, but it's always kind of been informal and me just trying to get it all out. And I feel that through discussions and through debates and other forms of communication within our history classes, I've been able to kind of refine what I want to say into concise points and deliver it much better than like word vomit.
Thank you, Amanda.
Sorry, Mr. Kins, can I add something here?
Of course.
I just also want to add the number of students that we have who come back from college or after they've graduated and have said, particularly those who have taken our American history classes and the AP government classes, who come back and say how grateful they are for the way we taught American history or governmental history, and how they felt that they just understood the news, how to read sources, what was going on in current events. That is probably the number one thing that alumni talk to me about, is how they just felt like they could, outside of college classes or anything like that, they just felt like they understood the world around them and had the skills to understand the world around them. And they felt very grateful for that. So I do want to add that piece of it as someone who's spoken to alumni.
Thank you, Ms. Hardwick. And love to hear from Allie and Will just really quickly. What are your plans, or what are your hopes for next year moving forward? What are you hoping to take in history?
I'm hoping to take more of a better understanding of language into my writing next year, and work on not using such informal language or like trying to input emotions or like sarcasticness, and making it a little bit more straightforward and better just conciseness. So I definitely think I can do that. See, I just made up a word. So
Well
my
done.
teacher always helped me with that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, again, like pretty much the same thing as Allie, just like really working on my writing, making sure that it's at least if not to the level it needs to be, at least keep on track to possibly be at the level it needs to be college prepared and be ready for college. And again, so just keeps on going up. So
Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Thank you to all of our wonderful students for taking the time to be with us this evening. As always, they are true saints. They're representatives of the best of what we're all about, and the fact that they're willing and able to come out and spend the evening with us to share some insights about their experience so far is always the best part of these information sessions. Moving forward, I just wanted to cover a couple of items regarding the admission process, because it wouldn't be a webinar without some admission information, right? So I'm sorry, before we get to that point, I wanted to make sure Ms. Hardwick had a chance to show off her Twitter account.
And just, I have a Twitter account. It's at Hanging with Ms. H. But I basically only tweet about my history classrooms and what we're doing. This is just from a couple of weeks ago when my ninth graders we're working on a outline on the Sepoy Rebellion. And so if you're interested in seeing the inside of a history classroom at St. Stephen's and St. Agnes, feel free to follow me on Twitter, just so you know that that's there.
Thank you, Ms. Hardwick. And now for admissions, our next steps, as always, we have spending time with the Saints. And for those of you who have yet to schedule your on-campus tour or schedule your interview, know that those opportunities will remain there for you to take advantage of through the month of January. The next virtual webinar series opportunity will occur after our winter break. Thursday, January 7th. That will be an opportunity to meet the upper school leadership team, and they'll talk a little bit more about and answer some of your questions about some of the highlights overall of our programming and what to look forward to next year. In terms of supporting documents, this is, I think that most of you have received information from us just regarding your transcript, teacher recommendations, the student applicant questionnaire. So all of this information will be due along with the application in mid-January. And speaking of the application deadline, there you have it. It's January 15th. We are almost just 1 month away. So now is the time to really begin working towards making sure that you have all of the information that you need in place for your students. You can also, as we move into January, be on the lookout for some additional opportunities to experience the classroom environment, either virtually or hopefully, depending on what the situation looks like after winter break, potentially in person, and that would be in small groups. January 7th, again, is the Leadership Open House. And then kicking down into later January, you would have the College Counseling Open House and then the Arts Open House at the beginning of February. For now, that is all we have for you. We are again so grateful for you all spending the evening with us. We are most thankful to Ms. Hardwick and to her wonderful students for taking some time out of their busy schedules to join us and to talk to you about our great history program. This has been recorded, so you can access this at any point in time on our website. We hope to see you again in January, and until then, happy holidays, stay safe, stay well, and go Saints.